This episode of the All About Nothing podcast is sponsored by listeners like you and Big Media LLC, encouraging you to check your voter registration. In a world where every voice counts, ensuring your registration is accurate and up to date is the simplest, most effective way to guarantee your vote is heard. Don't leave your participation to chance. Take a moment today and verify your status and stay ready for the next election by visiting theallaboutnothing.com/voter.
So, I've got this shirt from zjzdesigns.com. It's one of their Thanksgiving prints, and I wore it to family dinner last year. I got more compliments on that thing than any of the food that we brought. Seriously, their stuff is clever, it's comfy, and it's always a conversation starter. Whether you're into spooky Halloween teas, patriotic vibes, or you just want something original that doesn't look like it came from a big box store, check them out. ZJZ Designs. They've got new prints all the time, and I guarantee you'll find one that fits your vibe. Check out zjzdesigns.com.
All right, welcome everyone to the All About Nothing podcast, kind of daily show. I am Barrett Gruber, host of the All About Nothing podcast. You can follow me across all social media at Barrett Gruber. With me is Brock, who is the coordinator and interested party in the Soda City Comic Con, as well as councilman in Blythewood. Still. Ultimately, one day I'm going to ask you, are you running for mayor? But I'm not going to ask you right now. You don't have to answer
today.
that. Not today. That's fair. All right. If you want to participate in the show, you can chat with us on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook. You can find links at the top of the webpage, theallaboutnothing.com. Please follow and subscribe wherever you're hearing us. Let's get started. Last time we were together, I discussed this daylight savings time bill that the House had passed. I am seeing more and more people coming out saying that they disagree with using daylight savings time and it should be just using standard time. Like, even just acknowledging, we call it standard time. Why wouldn't we use standard time? Are you still on the fence?
Between the last time we talked about it and today, I have determined that I really don't care. I think at the end of the day, we would adjust. If we use daylight savings time, then we'll adjust. If we use Eastern Standard Time, Eastern and Pacific Time, specific time, whatever you want to call it, then I think that, we'll adjust. I did read that article I think you sent me talking about, what time the sun rises, and, it'd be 8:20 in certain states and almost 9 o'clock in other states. And so, when you're in the wintertime, especially in the Northeast and maybe in the Midwest and some of the upper Midwest states, if kids are outside at 6:30, 6:45 waiting on the bus, they're going to be really, really cold, and it's going to be challenging. So from that perspective, it makes sense. It would make sense to keep the standard time. Again, we're in a state that's probably not going to be seriously impacted from a weather perspective. It gets cold, but it's not like super ridiculous cold.
Yeah.
But,
I think I think one of the things that others have acknowledged was because they did it as an experiment back in 1973, and ultimately it was supposed to be 2 years. They were testing it for 2 years, and after 2 years they would decide whether or not to keep it or come back. And it was less than a year before they had repealed the law, because there were 8 kids that were killed in a traffic basically a traffic collision where they were run over in Florida. There were children that were waiting on the school bus. I don't know what happens this time, but Donald Trump has said that it's an easy win for the Republicans. And ultimately, that to me, an easy win would be something that benefits everyone. Daylight savings time just being kind of a mild annoyance, or, the switching of times back and forth being an annoyance, to me doesn't strike as a win for either party. It's just sort of hey, they got something done. Was it the right thing? Maybe not. We'll see. Well,
they got the housing bill. They got that housing bill done. That was a win.
Yeah, without Trump's help whatsoever. You're right.
Well, I think it's fair to say that I personally think he's made it very clear that he is not interested in doing anything that has any sort of bipartisan support. He wants to cram Republican agendas down everybody's throats. And since that bill had a very broad bipartisan support, he said, I don't want anything to do with that. And so I just won't sign it. And so they threw it on his desk. 10 days later, it becomes law. He knew that if he was to veto that, in my opinion, they would override his veto and they'd make him look, make him look ridiculous. And so, he does a great job of making himself look foolish, regardless of whether or not he goes out and vetoes good legislation. So, he just let that one become law.
Speaking of which, congratulations to España. For winning the World Cup this weekend. I had Argentina, but it didn't work out. Spain had something like 40 kicks on goal. Like
it was like 20-2 or something like that.
It was
21, 22.
It was ridiculous. Yeah. Argentina had very few attempts, and Spain had a lot. I did think the highlight of the whole thing for me was Trump trying to remain on stage with the team while they celebrated with the trophy. And it was like your deep, dark, depressed old grandfather trying to not knowing where he's supposed to go, except in your head, like in my head, I knew he was standing out there because he wanted this to be about him.
Oh yeah.
And so he just kind of hung around, and then FIFA won. I don't know what the guy's president of FIFA's name is, but trying to get him off from in front of the cameras. And then I think one of the Australian commentators had a hot mic situation where he said they're just going to have to edit him out, and sure enough, that's exactly what they did. So the poster is a wide angle shot of the team, leaping into the air with the confetti blowing up. And Donald Trump is nowhere in this poster. So, AI for the win.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of that. It was just, he got way more involved in the tournament than he should have. But, I mean, why should we expect anything different?
Oh, agreed. I was astounded to find out. So, Spain wins. So it's also a money value. There's a monetary prize for winning the World Cup. It's $51 million. Did you know that the IRS can choose to tax them for that winning because it was a sport here performed in the United States to the tune of $13.5 million? The United States IRS will be potentially taxing them for?
I don't have a problem with that.
I don't either, but I think others were surprised by it. I was not surprised by it in the least.
Well, it's like, I don't know how many listeners would know this, but any professional athlete that plays a game in one of the 50 states, I don't know about overseas, but they have to file a state return in that state if they play a game there. Because in the NFL, they get a game check after every game. So it's deemed that if, let's just say, the Carolina Panthers play in Tennessee, well, Tennessee wouldn't count because Tennessee doesn't have any state income tax. But let's just say they play the Rams in Los Angeles. The players, all 53, anybody I think associated with the team that traveled there has to pay state taxes in California. And it may just be the players, whoever earns their salary there. But they get game checks. So they get 17, 18 game checks, whatever it is now. And if they, they'll have 9 games at home, 7, 8 games away, however the schedules fall. But any state that has state income tax, if they play there, hockey players do the same thing. Basketball, baseball, they all do it. So they all have these probably national accountants or accounting firms, and they file all their tax returns for them. So I mean, they're those guys aren't playing that game because they get paid. Every one of those guys are multimillionaires anyway from playing soccer in Europe with endorsements and stuff. But I knew there was a cash prize, and I think probably most teams get a little something. I mean, I read a headline that FIFA made $15 billion on the tournament. The most successful tournament financially they've ever had. Now, granted, they expanded from 32 to 48. They had an additional round, so there was more money to be made there. But, arguably one of the most successful FIFA tournaments in a long time. Viewer interest through the roof. Trump's already petitioning for them to bring it back. But of course he said, let's just keep it in the States this time, to hell with Canada and Mexico.
Right.
Which, he showed how much he really loves Canada by slapping 100% tariffs on what? Dairy, alcohol, cars,
Hockey
car
sticks.
parts. Yeah. Who knows?
No, hockey sticks. Hockey sticks were literally on the list.
Really, hockey stick. I didn't see that part.
For things that were being,
And then, in an attempt to repatriate generic pharmaceutical manufacturing into the States, a 200% tariff is going to go into effect in a couple of years. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, if anybody's listening to this broadcast, and maybe they do, please understand that a tariff is not a tax on the company that's producing the goods. It's a direct tax on the consumer because they pass the costs on to the consumer.
Yeah.
Please understand this. It's basic economics. These companies aren't paying these tariffs.
Yeah.
We are.
The last time that we had I want to say a policy of using tariffs as though they are an income for the United States was right at the point where the Great Depression was making its largest impact, its most depressed impact. And Smoot-Hawley bill tariffs basically just drove us further into the Depression because it isn't corporations. They don't just eat the cost of that. And it's not other countries that are paying for those tariffs. In order for those, we've explained it before, but the tariffs, in order for the products to enter the United States, they have to go through customs. Customs then bills them a percentage of whatever the tariff is based on the value of what it is that's coming in. The people that actually pay for that initially is Walmart or Kmart or Sears or wherever it is you shop. But those companies
showing your age is Kmart.
Well, I almost said the five and dime. But anyway, but they eat the cost of it initially, but they pass that cost on to us by raising the price on whatever it is they're selling us. So let's say, you have t-shirts that you buy for printing on for the Soda City Comic Con or the Coastal Comic Con or the Boardwalk Comic Con. Those t-shirts potentially having a 15% markup on them literally at the time that they're imported, the cost from the person that's buying those shirts in order to get them screen printed has to pass that on to you because they're already only making a small percentage based on the ink and the t-shirts anyway. So they have to raise the cost. Otherwise, they're eating it. And no legitimate business owner is going to just eat the cost of that. I mean, Walmart may have shrinkage in the billions available because of products that are broken in transport or that are sold and then returned and then are stolen, whatever. Like, they have that built into their budget. But most other companies don't. They're not a multi-billion-dollar corporation like Walton Company, Sam Walton, Walmart, whatever. So it's just not available for them. That cost has to be passed on. I think initially Walmart tried to eat some of the cost, but they're so good about moving prices up and down. You never know when you're on the upswing or the downswing of one of their prices or their rollbacks or whatever. So, it's a craps game ultimately.
Yeah. Ultimately, the tariffs aren't going to affect the big boys like your Walmarts and your Targets and your Amazons of the world. They could probably eat a portion of the tariffs or eat all of them and just, chalk it up to quote unquote the game, right? That's just the cost of doing business. But, they're still going to be the low cost provider and people are still going to shop there. So you don't make, $14 billion this quarter. Maybe you make 13 or whatever. You just eat $1 billion. I mean, for them, that's not really a huge needle mover. Look at that. My dog's wanting to get in the shot. She wants to get in the shot.
Your puppy jumped up and I was like, Brock's got somebody in his lap.
Yes, it's the only girl that spends the night with me on a consistent basis. But like your small mom and pops, like our business, like, the people, the third parties that we buy from, if you had a 10 or 15% tariff, they're absolutely going to have to pass that on because, again, if your margins are 10 or 15%, then all of a sudden you're operating at break even, and you can't operate a for-profit business at break even. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, what's the point?
Yeah, exactly. So, the idea that tariffs are a punishment to anybody other than the end consumer. It's just it's laughable to think that. Like, tariffs are not the answer. They're not the answer, and they never will be.
And ultimately, these new tariffs that Trump was trying to push against Canada come just a few months after the courts shot him down for his tariffs, which ultimately means he has attempted to put tariffs in place for something that he's been told he isn't able to do. So do you think he knows this? Do you think he knows he can't do it? I realize that he just says shit because ultimately he wants it out there in the universe. And for him, bless you, for him, at 80 years old, it feels kind of like it's just a game for him, but like he still says it, and then it has an impact. And even though there's going to be an injunction, or there already is, or there's going to be a lawsuit to stop it, and it's going to get stopped, he still does it. Like, he does it with the intent, but does he do it with the intent of just being a shithead, or does he do it with the intent of actually trying to impose a 50% tariff on bullshit that comes out of Canada? I say bullshit. It's not bullshit. Hockey sticks are important.
They are.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hockey season's kicking off in what, 2 months?
Yeah, September. Toward the end of September, yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, we're in that speaking of sports, we're in that lull right now where if you're not a baseball fan, you're kind of just, you're SOL from a professional sports. Now, granted, it was nice to have the World Cup to kind of keep us occupied, but until college football starts back up and then the NFL, we're just kind of in that lull. I mean, 'cause in my opinion, the baseball season is too long. Playoff baseball is great. Somebody asked me the other day, "Are you a baseball fan?" I'm like, I love watching playoff baseball.
Yeah,
it's 162 regular season games. That's just way too much.
There's a lot of games.
Could not care less about the NBA. They don't know how to play defense. So, when the hockey season, obviously that's fun. I like NFL. I do not watch college football. It's not that I don't like college football. There's too much.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
So I watch a little bit of NFL. Have a couple of kids. You know what I'm talking about. All of a sudden, your football days go to the back burner, and you're lucky if you catch the Sunday night game when everybody's in bed. That's the game I get to watch.
That's a fact.
So I want to change topics. As everybody knows, Lady G decided to kick the bucket. She took off her last piece of lingerie. The body's it's been enough. We can kind of poke fun now. But the upcoming primary, I believe it's on August 11th, I think,
August 11th.
Has the potential to be extremely interesting, especially considering that now his sister, who wasn't even in my office for 3 days, has decided, now I'm going to honor my brother's legacy by running. Okay, girl, bye.
My director at work had one of the greatest lines in reflection of specifically that situation. So now senator is an entry-level position.
I guess so. Yeah.
I mean, there's no other way to look at it.
Well, there's at least going to be some respectable competition, I think, even though I can't vote in the primary. I believe Russell Fry's announced, Ralph Norman's announced, Mark Lynch is going to throw his name back in the hat. I'm missing somebody. I think Nancy Mace is on the fence, maybe.
Well, she said she wasn't interested in the position, which I assume she probably has gotten some sort of a front end deal on a book that she's writing. So I get
a 5th place finish in the governor's race doesn't exactly make you an ideal Senate candidate.
Yeah, but being a complete schizophrenic, I think, and writing a tell-all book, I think that if that got her a $5 million check, she's probably not concerned.
Ooh, if that would be the case, I'd take the money too.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I'll write anything in a book for $5 million.
Yeah, her and Marjorie Taylor Greene can co-pen a book.
That's right. I think she has. But yeah, I think someone said that there's the potential that there may be anywhere between 5 and 12 candidates in this Senate primary, Republican primary special election. Again, Democrats or anyone that voted in the Democratic primary for the races cannot vote in this. That all of the polling machines are going to be loaded with only available to voters that either voted in the Republican primary or did not vote in either the primary or the runoff. So that's the only way that you're eligible for this. Now, there was clearly there was an attempt to fight this after the fact. The GOP had planned this prior to any announcement as to whether who or not was going to be eligible to vote in this special primary, because they had already filed a potential lawsuit to block anyone.
Yeah, I saw that. They want to do closed primaries. They want closed primaries. Yes.
But, I mean, while
you know
I don't...
I not to interrupt you, but I really don't have a problem with that. I really don't.
I don't like the idea of... So the only problem I have with it is that the potential is that here in South Carolina, a lot of the time Republicans win. But ultimately what that means is that I don't have a say in who winds up being the representative for the Republicans. But I don't, in this situation, if there wasn't a valid Democrat running, and I hadn't already selected Annie Andrews, then, it would be a bigger deal to me. But I think the fact that the poly markets have Annie Andrews basically in a dead heat with every single one of the candidates that they've put up so far, the only one that is not announced that or not shown any interest in running but continues to run very high in the polls is Trey Gowdy.
Yeah. My mom knows him. Good guy. Would probably actually make a pretty good and fair senator if truth be told. But from the rumblings I've heard is that he doesn't have any interest in running.
That's what I've seen too.
Yeah.
That's what I've seen too.
Yeah, no, I've seen some polls where he's in the mid-30s as far as compared to the other ones, which, this particular primary will really test the weight of a Trump endorsed candidate that truly has. And I understand that she has been involved in previous campaigns as a supporter. Obviously, if it's your brother, assuming you didn't pull a Menendez trick, you're going to support your other sibling, right? So, yeah, well, maybe somebody will get that one. You have to go back a little bit for that one. So look that up, people.
Murder.
Yeah, murder, death, kill, both parents. But, you're going to support your sibling. And so obviously she's been on the campaign trail. She's stumped for her brother. So she has some experience from a campaign perspective. And yeah, you're going to have 25 days or so as a replacement U.S. senator, not knocking the position, well deserved. Don't have a problem with her appointment. But even if I was, and for the record, if anybody questions, I'll poo-poo on Republicans, but I tend to vote and lean Republican just because, at least from a fiscal perspective, I think we should spend less money than we bring in. I mean, it's kind of a business mindset. The government should operate like a business. You spend less than you make. So you continue to operate as a going concern. It's pretty basic math.
Hell, that's how I run my house.
Oh, that's how everybody should run their house. Hell, your house is just a small business. You got to make more than you spend. Otherwise, you have something called debt. And if we don't fix debt in this country on an individual household level, on the federal level, the state level, the South Carolina, fortunately, we're actually in pretty good position, but not all states are. But local municipalities have problems with spending more than they bring in. Personal debt and national debt, they're going to, at some point, it's going to rear its ugly head. And there's a few ways out of it. And unfortunately, it's pretty painful. So, but, going back to what's her name? I forget. Norton
Darlene.
Darlene. Yeah,
Graham.
Darlene. Yeah. Lindsay and Darlene, God, it doesn't get much southern than that, does it? But, if like you said, if 30 days on the job is qualifications to be one of 100 on the national level, then shit, you and I are qualified for a lot.
Well, I've assumed our qualifications were already in place, but, it's...
Oh, yeah.
But I will say this, I don't want to be a senator from South Carolina. I I think especially with my, liberal politics, I don't think that now is the time. It wouldn't be effective. Like,
Well,
I'm fiscally conservative in the sense that I don't think we should take more tax money from people than we already do. I think that our government should be spending the money that they already are getting in the correct way. Hell, I mean, it's been 30 years almost since the last time we had a balanced budget come out of Congress. I mean, that's insane.
There are ways to remedy this, but the people in charge don't want to explore those ways because it's not favorable for them. The 535, 435 and 100, 425 and 100.
Yeah, 438. Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, I forget about Puerto Rico and a couple of the other ones.
Guam and and DC.
Yeah. So, the tax code in this country could be very easily simplified by just doing a flat tax. And before you start telling me how flat tax is regressive, not necessarily. You cap the first, you exempt the first $50,000 or $70,000 in income, but no exemptions. You just pay a flat tax across the board. I personally like the idea of a national sales tax, but again, if you make less than $50,000, you can apply to have that money refunded back to you. I don't think we should pay property tax every year on our car. I think you should pay 5% up front, and then you own your car. It's like you get penalized for owning a car. You get penalized for owning your house. I don't like the idea of taxing unrealized gains. I think that's fundamentally flawed. But I know there's billionaires that are, have billions of dollars. Your Elon Musk, your George Soros, these guys, Mark the Zuckerbergs of the world that have, billions upon billions of dollars on paper, but they don't make any money, so therefore they don't pay any taxes.
Right.
I'm okay with that. The Senate should have to pass a balanced budget every year, or they don't get paid. It's pretty easy. Well, the Congress, it's pretty easy. And if you don't, then you don't get paid. South Carolina's General Assembly should just pass a budget. I mean, come on. Some of us need our little 2% colas.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm of the belief that because corporations in the United States already go pretty much untaxed when it comes to the amount of wealth that they generate in this country, I think that, and let's be honest, most of what gets spent from our taxes goes either towards entitlements, which is, Social Security and Medicare and things like that, but that comes out of our direct employment checks. Like, we pay into that. Our companies that we work for pay into that. But a good chunk goes to defense. And what our military is used for, most of what our military is used for is overseas protection of corporations. We have oil companies in Saudi Arabia and across the Middle East that are being protected by our militaries. I think that there should be a military defense property tax. So if you're Disney and you own, if you have 15 billion or 50, let's say $150 billion worth of property value here and in the States, and then potentially overseas, for at least those overseas protection that our military is providing for, let's say, a facility that they happen to own, and let's say that they have to pay 2% to the United States federal government for the protection that they're receiving. So now we're paying our military for what it is they're actually doing. They're not fighting wars. They're standing on the front line of a movie lot, or they're standing in front of a driveway for an oil refinery in, Saudi Arabia. So then there's a direct payment going to that. I don't know what you call it, but we as taxpayers are paying for the protection of American interests overseas because that's what our military is doing now. In a lot of ways, and in some ways, they're fighting the good fight in places across Africa where we have people that have put themselves in positions where they need protection, or they need extraction or things like that. So our military, obviously, they're doing, but we're paying next year we will pay $1.5 trillion to the military. They're asking for more money right now. Hegseth is in front of the Senate asking for more money, with the knowledge that we haven't even spent the money that they just got. So they're already asking for future money. it doesn't make sense to me. And I think that if there were a bill for the services that our military provides overseas, then, we could figure that out. Monetarily, maybe get rid of income tax.
Yeah, maybe. Well,
Anyway.
I will say that Trump is, if I'm not mistaken, he's a proponent for getting NATO and other members worldwide to chip in more for the various defenses, and that's probably not a horrible idea.
No.
The way he goes about doing it makes it bad. He comes across from a bullying perspective, and I never thought I'd wake up one morning and realize, the U.S. is our whole military and our whole country is designed to protect those that are less fortunate than ourselves, are less fortunate, right?
Yeah.
I never realized I'd wake up one and be like, holy shit, we're the bully that we were supposed to be protecting others from. It's us now.
And here is a fact that most people don't talk about because Trump acts like he's the only president that's ever done it. But every president since 1972 has also said that NATO countries should be paying their fair share. Everyone agreed to 2%.
I do not disagree with that. Yeah.
but Trump makes it sound like he's the first guy that's thought of this. That and ultimately maggots will follow along and they'll be like, oh yeah, President Trump thinks that we should get out of NATO because nobody else is paying their fair share. Nobody's ever thought of this.
Yeah, it's 2% of GDP, which is big numbers.
Right.
They're really big
huge.
numbers. Yeah.
It's huge. So I don't know. Ultimately we're continuing to fight just the battle of nonsense when it comes to Trump. I don't have the video. I wish that I did, but Jon Stewart had a great, he expressed absolute surprise when, I don't know if you saw Stewart on Monday, but when Trump, after he was, I guess he was leaving New York to fly back to Washington, D.C., which, by the way, why does that require a plane?
He didn't fly a plane. I thought he used the helicopter.
Well, maybe it was the helicopter.
I think he used Marine One. Yeah.
But apparently someone came into camera view behind Trump that looked just like Trump. And it was
really?
like Stewart's like, wait, is that Trump's double? Or are we seeing the double? Is that Trump behind him? Or, so it was very funny. And it's becoming fairly viral because
maybe it was Shane Gillis.
Oh, Lord. Oh, he's, I don't care who comedians like or, there, as long as it depends. I mean, Shane Gillis is funny.
He's funny.
Nate Burgetts. I think he's funny. I don't really, everyone really got upset because he was at the 250 UFC event. And I'm like, who cares?
Who, Nate Burgetts?
Yeah, he took a picture with.
It's just an event.
Yeah, that stuff doesn't bother me.
I think it was put together in a little bit of a poor taste, but overall. But I think that, of course, depending on which news broadcast you listen to, it was either a spectacular success or a spectacular failure.
Sure.
I think that a large majority of the American public. Number one, I didn't even realize it was going on. It was aired on Paramount Plus. So, I mean, who subscribes to Paramount Plus?
I do.
Whatever. Well, okay.
Star Trek. That's it. That's all I get. That's all I get.
Yeah.
Well, and the Duttons. The Yellowstone stuff.
Okay. Yeah, well, I've heard that's a good show. But anywho, I mean, it wasn't on like what I would consider a major streaming platform.
Sure.
So, I think it got like the most streams they'd ever had for maybe a live event or something like that, which couldn't be very many live events that they've had on Paramount Plus. So, but, I just think that most people will be like, oh, okay, they had an event. Was it on the White House lawn? Yeah, kind of tacky, but whatever. Like at the end of the day, they packed it up and they moved. And honestly, it didn't move. I don't think it moved the needle for really anybody. It was like, whatever, next. Like, let's find something that's actually worth deliberating versus whether or not Trump threw himself a birthday party and there was a fight in the background.
Hey, my tax dollars didn't pay for it.
No,
it has been confirmed that the guy that owns UFC he fronted the bill for it.
Dana White.
Dana White. I don't care. That's fine.
Yeah, whatever.
The world continues to burn around us, and it's either a slow burn or it's or we're all dying too quickly. Whatever. I don't know. So it's not like things are not going to continue. I guess it can only get worse.
Yeah, it can always get worse.
We're frogs boil. We're frogs in a pot that's continuing to simmer up to a boil, and at some point, while some of us are sounding the alarm and saying, "Hey, this isn't normal," there are others that are oddly comfortable with it until it gets to the point where it affects their wallet or whatever. So,
$4 gasoline is the boiling point.
I paid $3.54 a week ago, and that was 2 weeks after I paid $3.04. So that's a 40-cent jump in 2 weeks, and I haven't seen it come back down, and I don't think it's gonna. I think this is the new normal.
Well, I think that I'm of the opinion that oil is on it's not the fast train, but I think it's on the slow train to $100 a barrel again, which then starts to really creep into people's wallets, and then they have to start making decisions as to what they want to do. The average Joe, and then inflation starts to become a thing, and not to veer too far off the path, but the Fed's going to have to start working to pull some of the money supply out, and they do that by raising rates. And then once that happens, if the Fed raises rates in September, like the market's predicting they're going to, that will be very bad for the Red Party in November. Very bad.
Sure.
Especially when Kevin Walsh, yeah, I think
Walsh,
yeah, Kevin Walsh is like Trump's ordained guy who's going to come in there. The minute I'm going to get in there, we're going to start slashing rates. And now he's kind of developed somewhat of a dovish tone on cutting rates, or hawkish, whichever way you want to look at it. And they're certainly not going to cut rates anytime soon. If anything, they're going to start raising them, which is just going to send ripples through. And when Wall Street starts impacting Main Street, the party, and historically, as you know, the party in charge tends to suffer losses in midterms.
Yep.
But it could very well be a bloodbath.
It's going to be. It is. Yeah. I suspect that. If this continues, that we are going to see a number of seats flip from Republican to Democrat,
and we'll be here November 4th to talk about it.
Yeah. I will. My plans for November 4th, of course, I'll be roving for the election. So my plan is to be done as soon as the polls close at 7 p.m.
Well, the election's on the 3rd. It's the first Tuesday after the first Monday. The 4th is the Wednesday.
Oh, the 4th? Okay.
Yeah, the 4th is a Wednesday.
I was going to say, I'd be willing to be here on a Tuesday.
Oh, we can go live on Tuesday if you want to do that. That'd be fun, yeah. We can watch results, and just as the breaking news comes, we can break news on TikTok. Woo-hoo!
I was gonna say I may have to take the 4th off just so I can stay up late and either enjoy or bathe in my own tears. We'll see.
I think that regardless of what happens on November 3rd, the country will wake up and be okay on the 4th.
Yeah, we'll be. That's okay. The thing. The country's bigger than one man or one party.
Correct.
It always has been. So
correct.
I don't. Correct. That's not I'm not concerned about what we wake up to on Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
If I was 80 years old and 314 pounds and had the blood consistency of Southern gravy, yeah, I would be concerned about waking up on the 4th. But I'm not the president, so all right. Sorry for those biscuits and gravy.
Like Homer. Right. Ooh, biscuits and gravy.
Oh. Somebody I knew used to do a really good impression of Homer Simpson. Oh, Zach. Zach does a really good impression of Homer Simpson.
Who's that guy?
Well, there you go. All right. Well, on that bombshell, I guess we'll wrap it up. Good?
Yeah. Who's that guy? Who's that guy?
Big thanks to everybody for watching. Thanks for listening. Don't forget, you can follow me at Barrett Gruber across all social media. You can follow Soda City Comic Con on Instagram, Facebook, and their own webpage, sodacitycomiccon.com, for links for that. Also, tickets available for the Soda City Comic Con coming up on August 22nd and 23rd. You've put the schedule out for the panels.
Yep.
I saw there is one blank at 12:30 on Saturday. I assume that is something you're waiting to potentially announce.
Well, it's more of we were holding a spot for something that we thought we were working on. It officially arrived DOA today. So,
okay.
Yeah. So anybody got suggestions? We're up for it.
Hey, dance party. Sorry.
Why not?
Bring a DJ in, have him do karaoke for an hour.
Yeah, we could do that.
Anyway,
wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
All right. Well, Brock, thank you for being here tonight. Don't forget, you can follow us again across social media. Links available on sodacitycomiccon.com or theallaboutnothing.com. You can find all that information. Thank you for liking and hitting that bell. If you can, give us a 5-star review, leave a comment. Until next time, you all stay safe, be kind, and keep your hands to yourself.
The preceding podcast is solely owned by the host or hosts and is distributed by Big Media, LLC. Copyright 2026.
Well, you've made it to the end. You survived the rambling, the tangents, and whatever nonsense we just subjected your ears to. Congratulations. Now that your brain is sufficiently scrambled, how about doing something productive for democracy? Before you go off to forget everything you just heard, do yourself a favor and double check that your voter registration is actually legit at theallaboutnothing.com/voter. It's about the only way to make sure your vote counts, even if your taste in podcasts is questionable.